Hey everybody, welcome to B.PAC's Insta Live. Hi Harshita. So thank you all, welcome and thanks for joining. This is our first Insta Live, it's very exciting. And we have a very special guest that we are going to bring in today to talk to you, so I'm really excited. So just some quick introduction first. So our guest for today is Ricky Kej. So just until he connects, oh, there you are. Hi, Ricky.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you? Thank you so much for
Very,
joining.
very good. No,
Yeah.
thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. It's our pleasure. We're so happy to have you and to talk about all things sustainability today. So,
Wonderful.
so bef yeah. So before we jump in, I thought I'd just give a quick intro to any new viewers who may not be too familiar with B.PAC or our campaign yet. So basically, B.PAC, if you're unfamiliar, it stands for Bangalore Political Action Committee. We are a nonprofit citizens group based in Bangalore, and our mission is to improve quality of life and governance in Bangalore. So we do a variety of activities, including a lot of environmental activities. And by the way, my name is Sumedha and I lead the environmental program. And just last week, we launched a very exciting initiative called the Bengaluru Sustainability Manifesto. And this initiative basically sets a very bold vision for where we want to see Bangalore by 2030. And we genuinely believe that Bangalore can be the greenest megacity by 2030, but it's going to take a lot of work and collaboration and action to get us there. So one of the big parts of this movement is bringing in a lot of, amazing citizens and like Ricky to talk about why this campaign is so important. So, Ricky, I don't think you need an introduction, but I'm just going to start with one for anyone who might be unfamiliar. Most of you might know Ricky as the Grammy Award-winning music composer and producer. And of course, he's also an environmentalist, and he's an ambassador for UNESCO and UNCCD. In addition, he's also a professor. And in addition to all of that, he also does incredible work on sustainability, even in his personal life. So without any further delay, let's jump into the conversation. So welcome again, Ricky, and thank you so much for your time today.
No, thank you so much for having
So
me. Go on, go on.
yeah. So I thought we'd just start with, your just a little bit more about your background, because I think a lot of people know you for your musical career, but people may not be as familiar with how you got into environmentalism. So tell us a little more about that work and how it all started.
So I've always, ever since I remember, I've always been two things. I've been a musician and I've been an environmentalist, two pillars that have pretty much dictated my whole life and all of my life decisions. And throughout my career, I've always been making music on the environment because that has always reflected my thoughts and my personality. And very early on in my career, I decided very strongly that I wouldn't be part of the Bollywood film industry, and I wouldn't be making pop music. I would be making music only that is an extension of me and my beliefs. So that's why a lot of my music was about the environment. And I was also doing some amount of commercial music too. And it's in 2015 when I won the Grammy Award, that is when I made a very strong decision that every single piece of music that ever comes off my fingers or my head or my studio is going to be about sustainability and social impact around sustainability. So that started off a new journey of mine about 5 years ago, where every single piece of music that I make is about making this world a better place in my own small way. So that's the only kind of music that I make, and that was my journey in the environment. And I've been very happy and very honored that that various organizations, I've been able to work with various organizations in amplifying my message and also in amplifying their messages. So working in partnership, like for example B.PAC, and of course the United Nations Environment, UNESCO, as you mentioned, UNCCD, the WHO. So been working with all these people as partners so that I can musically interpret whatever they want to tell the world.
Yeah, that's amazing. So speaking of, supporting each other's environmental message, thank you, first of all, for endorsing the Bangalore Sustainability Manifesto. You were our first endorser, and we were really excited to launch that with you. So what made you, endorse it, and why do you think that this is important for Bangalore?
So I think obviously the Bengaluru Sustainability Manifesto, I mean, you ask any Bangalorean who is even not what do you call that, heavily into, environmental causes or whatever, even regular, Bangalorean, anybody will say that it's much needed in Bangalore. That's pretty much a no-brainer. That something like this is absolutely needed in Bangalore. And of course, looking at the manifesto, it's been created by some of the best minds in Bengaluru. So that's extremely important. There are educationists, there are industry leaders, people from the judiciary, top NGOs, not-for-profits, scientists, think tanks. And so it's just an amazing cross-section of various people from Bangalore, various aspects of Bangalore, and all of that put together in this manifesto. And I think it's absolutely high time that Bengaluru takes the lead when it comes to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations, that is the SDGs, and also takes the lead when it comes to climate action, not just in India, but in the whole world. And I believe that this Bengaluru Sustainability Manifesto can put Bangalore on the map in terms of that this is what Bengaluru is trying to achieve and what Bengaluru hopes to achieve, and will put Bengaluru right in the in the focus where Bengaluru deserves to be when it comes to climate action. So I would encourage everybody to support this manifesto, not only support this manifesto, but also look for the petition and sign the petition, because it's very important that that our authorities know that all of us stand together behind this petition.
Yeah, thank you so much. And actually, we have been, receiving, like, I was surprised that a lot of the citizens that heard about this, just like you said, even if they weren't from an environmental background, they were, they immediately resonated with it. They said, this is something we're excited about. And a lot of them actually, beyond just wanting to, supporting it, they actually were interested in saying, what can I as a citizen do? So I know that you do go the extra mile more than the average person in your personal life. So can you tell us some of the things that you do, just to make your own living a little bit more sustainable?
So there are various things that I do. So one thing is that, of course, I don't own a car. And what I did was that from having, in about 2013, I used to have 3 cars. And then from having 3 cars at one point in time, now I don't have a single car, because I've realized that I just do not need it. I just do not need to have a car. And, so I use public transportation wherever I go, whether it's the metro or buses, or when it's needed, I use Ubers and Olas too. But nevertheless, I do not own a car, because when I'm, because I started realizing that with the amount, at least pre-pandemic, with the amount that I used to travel, I realized that, the car is only useful when I'm in Bangalore. When I'm outside Bangalore, anyway, I'm using public transportation in every city that I'm in. So why not use public transportation in my own city too, because it's the easiest for me to figure out the public transportation, because I live in that city. So that is one thing. Second thing is that no, because that's what, it's just that everybody uses public transportation in other cities besides their city of besides the city that they actually are a resident of, and so may as well just include that one more city in your public transportation agenda, And the second thing that I do is that I do not subscribe to fast fashion at all. So I buy very few clothes, and I ensure that these clothes last for a long time. So if you go on my Instagram, I'm one of the very few people who are wearing, I'm one of the very few people who wears the same clothes in almost all their pictures. So in fact, you'll see a whole lot of Instagram lives where I'm wearing the same shirt. So I at any given point in time, I have a maximum of 11 to 12 sets of clothes. And on stage, I just wear one set of clothes. And when I wear out that particular set of clothes on stage, then I buy another set, and then, and I use that for a couple of months. So that's how it is. And
that's amazing.
The other thing is, thank you. And the other thing is that I'm a vegetarian. I'm an aspiring vegan. But I'm a vegetarian currently, and I aspire to be a vegan. And so I'm getting there slowly, but that's what I do when it comes to my diet.
But yeah.
No, it's difficult, but it's essential. But I'm hoping to get there. A lot of my friends have got very strong willpower to remain vegan, but for me, I'm getting there. And the last thing is that I audit my quarter. And at the end of every quarter, once I audit my carbon footprint, and this includes everything from my concerts to my travel, to my accommodations, to my printing, to my electricity usage, every single thing is audited. And once it's audited, I offset my carbon footprint by either investing in renewable energy or in on tree plantations. So these are the various things that I do in my own life to ensure that I am living as responsibly as possible.
That's really amazing. And I've tried some of these things, so I know how hard they are. And especially, with your kind of hectic work and travel schedule, I think that's really amazing that you're able to do that much. So thank you for that. I think it's going to be inspiring for a lot of viewers. So now going back to, your career, you did talk about how your art and your environmentalism are very much interconnected. And I see that, I know that the arts have played a very important role in social and environmental movements historically. But in the context of Bangalore, what do you think is the importance of arts, and how can they really, combine with the environmental movement to further the agenda of a more sustainable future?
So I think it's all about communication at the end of the day. And, because unless you communicate things to the public, nothing's going to work out. And as Mahatma Gandhi has always said that, every single movement on this planet, you need to have a top-down approach and a ground-up approach, So, the thing is that and in a democracy, the top-down approach will never work unless you have a strong enough ground-up approach, which is why I love the work that B.PAC is doing, simply because B.PAC believes in both these approaches, The very fact that you have this sustainability manifesto and you're trying, along with getting the government to adopt this, you're also attempting to get, that's the only way the government will adopt it, if the people actually adopt the sustainability manifesto. So a ground-up approach is really important. And I believe that for a ground-up approach to really work, the arts are extremely important, because you can give 100 speeches to people, you can throw thousands of pages of scientific data at people, but the only way to actually get them to change and to bring about behavioral change is basically if you actually take those speeches and you take that scientific data and you simplify these complex thoughts and these complex ideas in the most simplest fashion, in a more emotional way, so that people will be able to be more engaged when you give these messages to them. And I believe that music is a very powerful tool, not just to communicate a message, but to retain that message deep in the consciousness of a listener. That's why, the nursery rhymes, the morals that you learn through nursery rhymes when you're growing up are the morals that stick with you forever, and these morals never leave you till the day you die, And that's the power of music, and that's the power of retention that music has in a listener. So I believe that the arts is what can make a huge difference, and I think artists need to come together, especially in Bengaluru, because we've got so many art forms, we've got so many art galleries, we've got so many venues for performances and things like that. So I believe not just musicians, but it is fine arts, sculptors, filmmakers, theater artists, everybody need to come together, and they need to strongly put this agenda forth of pretty much saving the environment in our city. And I believe that that's the way that things will change, because if there is enough people who believe that we need to adopt the sustainability manifesto, then the government obviously cannot afford to ignore it.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I think the scale of the problem that we're dealing with, the IPCC says we have less than 10 years to prevent irreversible damage from climate change. So I think if you look at the scale of the problem, everybody's involvement is welcomed, and especially, as you mentioned, the arts have such an important role to reach those people that science usually doesn't effectively reach. So
yeah, and the thing about the other thing about Bengaluru is that Bengaluru, with its huge population, within the city, I think it's 10 million, and counting everything around, the suburbs and areas and all this stuff, you're touching about 15 million. The thing is that I believe that when it comes to climate change is the biggest existential crisis we've ever faced in the human race, and climate change, and the problem about climate change is that it does not have any borders. So, so what we do is basically not only affecting Bangalore, but is affecting the whole world. And with such a huge population as Bangalore, which is about 2 or 3 times the population of many countries in the world, we need to understand that, that our actions are having disastrous consequences on people on the other side of the world. And, what we do is going to affect people everywhere in the world. And some of these people who it's going to affect are people who have nothing to do with climate change. People in Pacific Island nations, people in small island nations all over the world and things like that. These people have nothing to do with climate change, and they are in adjunct poverty. And so it becomes our responsibility as a big city to ensure that we are responsible so that climate change does not affect people not only in Bangalore but all over the world.
Yeah, and just to add to that, there's a really interesting statistic that again the UN came out with, that cities only occupy about 2% of the surface of the earth, but they contribute to over 70% of all emissions and resource use. So that
Correct.
itself tells you how responsible cities need to be in this movement. So
yeah, that's what I keep saying, that if big cities could build domes around themselves, and keep our carbon emissions and our pollution within our own cities, then it's no problem. Then we are suffering the consequences of our own actions, But then the problem is that, it's one atmosphere, and it's a really, really thin atmosphere. So the thing is that, so basically our carbon emissions becomes everybody's carbon emissions. And how do we want to live as Bangaloreans? Do we want to live responsibly? Do we want to ensure that, we are not causing another island nation to go completely underwater? We are not stopping the livelihoods of other people. We are not causing more and more climate refugees in this world. So we have to ensure that we are not the cause of all these problems, and we have to live more responsibly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I think with that, do you have any message that you want to share with all of our viewers and the citizens of Bangalore?
I would say that, at least in my personal opinion, more than the problem of population is basically the problem of consumption. Because the thing is that we've been taught since our childhood that, the only thing that defines how much we can consume, how much we can waste, how much we can throw away or whatever is based on how much of money we have. Like our finances is what decides how much we can consume and how much we can just waste. Whereas that paradigm needs to completely change, and it should be how much this planet can afford. We have to think about that, and this pandemic has taught us a lot about that. Like a lot about. I think a lot of us have understood. During this pandemic, about the amount of garbage that we are producing every single day. And and how we can reduce our garbage, and how we can live more responsibly, and how we can consume less and still be happy with whatever we have. Because I don't think we need to consume all that we are consuming right now. So I guess my message to the people in Bangalore is that just consume less of everything that you're consuming, and every time you buy something, think about it, whether it's absolutely essential for you to buy and if it's absolutely essential for you to use. And I think most of our problems will be solved just by just generally consuming less of everything.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. So I think with that, we are coming towards the end of this call. I don't want to keep you too long as well. So thank you so much for your time, and tell people where they can find you. I think most people are your followers, but on this call, but where's the best place for people to follow your work?
So I guess right now I've got this. You can follow my work on Spotify. You can follow my work on my social media. That is, I'm on Facebook. It's easy to find me on Instagram. Obviously, I'm on that same Instagram handle, and on Twitter. And I have this new album out, which is in Hindi, which is all about protecting the environment, and it's about climate action and things like that. It's an album called B.PAC, and it features some amazing singers like Shankar Mahadevan, Salim Merchant, Kailash Kher. It's got Udit Narayan, Aditya Narayan, Jonita Gandhi, Benny Dayal, Neeti Mohan, Andrea Jeremiah. Some amazing, amazing artists, all of them coming together to bring about this message about living responsibly and about protecting our environment for our own survival. So please go on to Spotify and check out any of the songs from B.PAC, and I would be very glad if you tell me what you thought about it.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you so much for sharing that. And for those of you who are more interested in B.PAC and the Bengaluru Sustainability Manifesto, we are also, you can find us on social media at B.PAC official. And you can also find our website at bpac.in. And on our Instagram account, we have a link to the Bangalore Sustainability Manifesto. So it would be amazing if everyone, especially Bangaloreans, were to check that out, participate in our survey, give us feedback, and support this movement. So
and also make sure that you sign the petition. Everybody, please sign the petition. And
yes, the petition is coming out next week, so keep an eye out for both
next week. Okay, fine.
And our page, we will give you an update as soon as it's up, and we'd love everybody's support with that.
Wonderful, great.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Awesome.
much.
Thank you. Yes, thank you so much, Ricky. This was awesome. It was great talking to you.
Thank you. All my best. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.